Greetings, Dan here. So we're now in the early days of autumn. So I'm getting my preparation going, ready for plenty of crops to be picking throughout the winter months. Of course, this can be started much earlier in the year, but I'm really ploughing on with it now. So there we are. So I've got plenty of squashes to harvest, all sorts of things growing here. Going to have a bit of a harvest today as well. Going to fill up the wheelbarrow if we can. So we're going to have a look round and you can see some of the things I'm going to be doing to really get this allotment productive. So let's go. So many of you might be aware I've grown quite a lot of squash and some pumpkins this year. So this here, if I suspect it is what it is, this is variety Pacific Giant, which I saved from seeds of pumpkins I grew last year. So that's doing very good. Not as big as the ones I grew last year, but I would expect that because we really have not had anywhere near the amount of rainfall we had last year. And I think this one here is Atlantic Giant. So not going to pick this yet, going to leave it as long as I possibly can. I want to let the skin harden, that way it'll keep longer. Probably could pick it now, but I'll probably end up picking it in about 3 weeks or so. You want to make sure though you pick your pumpkins and squash before a frost comes. So down here in my straw bale raised bed, some of you may remember the potato harvest I had from here. So the way I look at this is sort of composting making. The straw bales will in time become compost. They're a carbon source, they rot down, etc. And this entire area will be incredibly productive. It's very productive already. But anyway, I've got it set with a variety of crops. I've got toothed lettuce here, all year round lettuce here, Lolla Rossa lettuce here, Swiss chard here, and some albino beetroot set here. So white albino beetroot I found actually keeps better into the winter than say your regular purple beetroot like boltardy or something like that. Just a little observation I made. I remember last year some that I sown in the spring, I was still picking them this spring, and very interesting, they're actually still quite edible over a year after I initially planted them. So white albino beetroot, you might want to look into that. I do have some boltardy that I've set there. That's because I had some seeds left over. But anyway, nice little productive area here. Whatever you're sowing this time of year, you want to make sure it's frost hardy because frosts are not that far away now. Right, so down here I've got a variety of beetroot growing here, sown these in the spring, so looking really good. So let's have a white albino beetroot out. So I'll just show you something. Here we are. So this is a white albino beetroot, and let's see what we have here. So we've got this is a Malatka beetroot, which if I remember correctly is a Kazakhstan variety. Now, got a golden Detroit beetroot here. That's like a yellow beetroot. So we're going to have a bit of a beetroot harvest, and you can see what roots I've still got growing here. So here's some harvests here. So this is a golden Detroit beetroot. Look at that. So really nice sized beetroot. So can be very good to make some nice early plantings of beetroot. I initially planted many of my beetroots, if I remember correctly, February time in cell trays, and transplanted them out at a later date. A variety like boltardy, you might even be able to get away with planting it as early as January. So that's very interesting there. And what you can do is keep them in the ground. So what I suggest, or what I'm going to be doing a lot more of next year, is I'm going to be setting a lot more white albino beetroot earlier in the year and then leaving it throughout the colder months that will come later in the year. And then that way I can make sure I've got a nice load of beetroot to be eating even into the winter, because as I stated earlier, I found it keeps better into the winter than purple beetroot. But anyway, so loads of different varieties you can grow a beetroot, really worth looking into. And if you just think of how much nutrition is in one of those, look, I mean, you could steam boil that up or whatever, and that could make quite a nice sort of amount of vegetables on your plate. So think about your nutrition, think about your sowing dates and your growing periods, and I'm sure you'll do very well. So this part of the allotment, I had runner beans growing here. They didn't do very well this year. Very warm around here, far more warm than a crop like runner beans finds ideal, and very low rainfall as well. I can't get down here and water as often as I should have, but there we are. These things happen, and we mustn't dwell on them. Learn from them and move on. Anyway, so what I've got here now is a blue banana squash. So I've let the vine die back fully. It's very good with squash, like I stated earlier, in pumpkins. Let the vine die back fully if you can, and that way skin can harden and your squash, pumpkins, etc. will hopefully keep for longer, which is a very nice thing to do. So blue banana, otherwise known as Guatemalan blue, and what this is a historical variety, really interesting and a really beautiful squash to grow. So I'll let you have a look at that. So probably going to cook this up this weekend, or it'll keep a lot longer. So look at that, Guatemalan blue, really nice. Really nice in my opinion, if you can, to try and keep historical varieties going, because at the end of the day, once they've gone, and we don't really want that to happen, do we? So really nice, and the plan here is going to be to clear it up. I've got to hoe it, not going to be digging it, just hoe the top. Might not even do that in places, light weed with a trowel, and in here I'm going to be putting a load of cold hardy vegetables for winter, and some salad maybe as well. So I've grown a variety of things in my polytunnel. I'll make a video soon, I'll show you what I've got growing away in there. So if you want to know of a couple of things to sow right now, a good thing to sow will be Komatsuna, otherwise known as Japanese green. Very good crop, and I'm very impressed with it. Grows quick, fully frost hardy, this part of the UK, USDA zone 8B here. And another one I'm going to be sowing, or I've sown already in fact, is rocket, and maybe some corn salad, otherwise known as lamb's lettuce, but I might sow that next month. So get sowing, and if you've got spaces like this that are clear, even better. Maybe you're waiting for your squashes, your pumpkins to finish and then get your harvest. Get growing away in your modules now, and then when they're done, you can then plant them straight in. Time efficient gardening, very good if you want a nice productive allotment. So Brussels sprouts, I'm growing a variety of Brussels sprouts down here called Seven Hills. So these are actually apparently nearly extinct, this variety. So I'm very happy to be growing these, and I'm probably going to save some of my own seeds from these as well. So anyway, they actually form short plants, as you could see, which is very good for exposed locations. So maybe if you're up high, plenty of wind or whatever, you don't want your sprout plants to blow over, Seven Hills could be a good variety. And they make tight, compact sprouts, which of course is great because gardeners get very annoyed, don't they, with their sprouts that blow. And I'm looking at this one here in particular, and this has set a lovely amount of sprouts on here. So let's have a look. There you go, look, so I'm under the netting here, and look at that, look, really lovely little sprouts there, and a lovely crop on this. In fact, I look at all of them and they've all got a lovely crop on, so that's absolutely wonderful. So you can see how I've got my Brussels sprouts here covered up. So a tight knit netting protects from birds, protects from cabbage white butterflies, of which there are still a few around, so one needs to be careful there. They're starting to go away now, which of course is a good thing. So what I do is I put my netting down and I weigh it down with bricks, and then what I can do is loosen the bricks off, so to speak, and give it a bit more slack as the plants grow, and then that way the netting goes up higher with the plants. Nice big netting is good for this, and I like to use a close knit netting. I'd rather use close knit netting, to be honest, for everything. That way your bases are covered. You could also build hoops, things like that, you know, hoops like that, water pipes, blue ones, whatever colour you want, what you can get like that, and then you can put mesh, or you can put tight knit netting over the top or whatever. Got my nettings and my meshes from eBay. Have a look about and you'll find plenty on there or wherever, and a very good investment to make for your garden or your allotment. So 3 varieties of potato I grew in this container here, which looks like it was once in somebody's loft. I was given this and I'm utilising it as a container. Very effective, drilled a hole in the bottom. So variety here, Condor. I got the idea of growing this from Tony, Simplified Gardening, great channel there. And this has the potential to get a very large potato, but hasn't happened here because of the lack of rain, etc., what I explained earlier, and the fact I can't get down here to water as often as I indeed should. But one thing I can tell you about this variety Condor is it makes delicious chips. I grew some before, you may remember the harvest video from the straw bale raised bed. Goodness gracious me, them chips were absolutely beautiful. So yeah, lovely chips. Anyway, here I have 40-fold, which is the oldest known variety of potato in this country, I think from the year 1836. Very nice taste, and it really tastes like an earthy potato. Really delicious, and when you eat it you can almost feel it's dense, it fills you up. It's a really nice potato, 40-fold. Look into that one. And this was just what I had in here last year, the leftover from it, volunteer potato. And I think, if I remember correctly, this is Aaron Pilot, first early potato from the year, I think it's 1930. But a nice potato there, very good for boiling, etc. And I've made a nice bit of compost in here as I've grown them. So very happy here, and there's some nice meals from these potatoes. So I'm going to pick a squash here. So this is Uchiki Kuri. It's a nice squash. It's a Japanese squash. Has a sort of nutty taste to it. A really nice one. And you really can, if you boil or steam this, you can really taste the uniqueness of it. It's also known as onion squash, so it's a good one. And what else have we got here? Here we go, we'll pick one of these. So this is Sibley squash. There we are. So this one, Sibley squash here, look at that. So this from about 1850, I think. Nice looking squash there. Early prolific straight neck squash. It's just coming off actually. There we go. So this is from the year 1938. It's a summer squash. Quite a curious looking squash. Looks sort of like a knobbly courgette really. So this is North Georgia Candy Roaster. Some of you may remember seeing a smaller one I grew in my composting video I made recently. So look at that, real heavy weight there. I can really feel the density of that. So excited to see how that does. Well, there we go. There is the harvest for today. So if you like my videos, please feel free to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you next video. Thanks for your time.